Hi everyone, this is Alex from Salmonella Place, and I am back with another one of my pharmacology lectures. So today's lecture is going to be on histamine and its antagonists and agonists. So I hope you find this helpful. If you think there's anything I've missed out or you have questions, please comment below this video. Enjoy! So what I want to talk about first is some general knowledge about histamine. Histamine is a local hormone. It comes from ergot. It is produced by the bacterial digestion of fungus. It acts on the site of synthesis and or release, and it does not enter the blood. Histamine receptors can be found in the following places: in the lung, mucosous tissue, such as the stomach and the airways. They are also found in the brain and the blood vessels. Binding to these places causes histamine reactions. It decreases the blood pressure and can cause bronchoconstriction. The main histamine receptors are histamine 1 and histamine 2 receptor, although there are histamine 3 and 4 as well. Histamine 3 and 4 can be found in immune cells, nerve cells, and sensory and motor cells. So how is histamine synthesized? Well, let me tell you. It starts off with an imidazole ring and an ethylamide side chain. This makes histidine. Histidine is then decarboxylated and forms histamine. Histamine is broken down by methylation or deamination. Histamine is stored in the gastric mucosa, in histaminocytes, mast cells, which contain histamine and heparin, as well as prostaglandins, leukotrienes, and cytokines. They are also found in basophils and histaminergic neurons in the brain. Their release is usually due to an immunologic stimulus, which causes exocytosis by increased calcium influx. The effects are the following: red skin with a burning sensation, decreased blood pressure, hives, headache, cramps, nausea, and vomiting. The drugs are tubercularine, succinylcholine. These cause mast cell activation and histamine release. The next couple of drugs I'm going to mention are mast cell stabilizers, so they prevent histamine release. These are sodium chromoglycate. It's used as asthma prophylaxis because it inhibits bronchoconstriction. And epinephrine, which is a beta-2 agonist, which increases cyclic AMP and inhibits histamine release. Now I would like to talk about the role of histamine. So the first role of histamine is gastric acid release. This is in the parietal cells of the stomach lining. They are released from histaminocytes in the gastric mucosa. They bind to the H2 receptors of the parietal cells, and they release hydrogen ions and cause an influx of potassium ions. This regulates the basal acid output. H2 receptor antagonists inhibit gastric acid secretion, and therefore they inhibit peptic ulcers. Acetylcholine stimulates the vagus to increase parietal cell function and indirectly increases mast cell activation. This causes gastrin to increase the release of histamine from the gastric mucosa and therefore increases gastric acid output. So now I've explained that to you, you will hopefully understand that H2 receptor antagonists can help with the therapy of gastric ulcers, GERD, hyperacidity, peptic ulcers, and Zollinger-Ellison syndrome, otherwise known as a gastric tumor. The role of histamine in the central nervous system is as follows. H1 receptor antagonists cause sleepiness or drowsiness, so therefore the patient is said to be sedated when given these kind of drugs. Histamine increases the alertness of the neurotransmitters in the brain. In the heart, histamine does the following. H2 receptors increase cyclic AMP. They have positive heart effects and can cause tachycardia. H1 receptors have a negative dromotropic effect. As far as blood pressure goes, H2 receptors cause the smooth muscle cells to have increased cyclic AMP and cause vasodilation and hypertension. H1 receptors, however, if given in a moderate dose, have no immediate vasodilation. But if given in a much larger dose, it can cause a histamine shock. This means that there's an endothel contraction, fenestration, fluid and plasma loss, resulting in hypovolemia. If this histamine shock occurs, then you should immediately give protamine. This helps neutralize the histamine shock. In the skin, therefore through a histamine injection, there can be pain and itching. In the skin, we can see the triple response of Lewis. This is post-injection. There is a red spot due to vasodilation. Then there is a flare because of the axon reflex. And then there is vasodilation, which causes hives. This is because the plasma exits the vessels, and then slowly the spot is compressed and eventually turns white again. This occurs because the postcapillary venules are hyperpermeable. In the smooth muscle, inositol triphosphate causes contraction, otherwise known as IP3. In the airways, it causes bronchoconstriction. In the GI, it causes motility, spasms, and diarrhea. And in the uterus, it causes increased contractions. When it comes to hydrochloric acid secretion, the H2 receptors increase gastric acid secretion. Now I'm going to talk about the first major type of histamine receptor, H1 receptors. They help with the occurrence of less severe histamine reactions. Their antagonists are used to treat hypersensitivity reactions, hay fever, and contact dermatitis. They are contraindicated with laryngeal edema, bronchoconstriction, or anaphylactic shock. They are mostly used for allergic rhinoconjunctivitis, urticaria, motion sickness, as a sleep aid, or for headaches. Their effects are inhibiting vasodilation, inhibiting edema, inhibiting the triple response of Lewis, and inhibiting smooth muscle contraction. They have atropine-like effects, so therefore they're sedatives and antiepileptics. In a high concentration, they can be used as local anesthetics. The drugs are divided up into first generation and second generation. The first generation drugs have a sedative effect. The second generation drugs do not. So the first generation induces drowsiness. They are an atropine-like poison, and they can be addictive. They are given in oral preparations every 24 hours. The names of the drugs are as follows: diphenhydramine, dimethindine, and promethazine. The second generation has limited central nervous system actins. They are called loratadine and cetirizine. Their side effects are GI disorders, skin rashes, and other side effects that aren't really worth mentioning. Now I'm going to talk about the second major histamine receptor, which is the H2 receptor. This is used to help treat peptic ulcers because it mediates the gastric acid secretion. H2 receptor antagonists do the following. They increase the pH to over 3 in duodenal ulcers, and they increase the pH to over 4 in GERD. This is gastric acid reflux disease. It's also used in Zollinger Ellison, which is a gastric acid tumor, and it helps treat it. The drugs are as follows: cimetidine, which is used in ulcer therapy because it decreases gastric acid secretion, and other drugs like ranitidine, famotidine, and nizatidine. They have no specific side effects. Only cimetidine has, and it's the following. It has anti-androgen effects, so it causes a decrease in libido and feminization of the characteristics. These drugs are H2 receptor specific, and they are very competitive antagonists. They are given twice a day in oral preparations. The last thing I'm going to mention today is proton pump inhibitors. These increase the outflux of hydrogen ions and increase the influx of potassium ions within the gastric mucosa. This is done through a pump which is helped with ATPase. The drugs are as follows: omeprazole and ionoprazole. They accumulate in the parietal cells, and they irreversibly block the terminal step in gastric acid secretion.